Okay, good evening. Chart review for 5/3/2019, Friday, end of the week. Taking a look here at the weekly chart, real strong week. We tested the bottom down here in this low volume node. Extremely strong bounce, right back up to the top. Yeah, what else can you say? The market is strong. Let's take a look over at the daily. From this morning, we saw the lower extreme, the higher extreme. We basically made that higher extreme, so we did 24 points on the market from the open, or from where I had marked it off, and that's a great move. So I'm expecting the breakout next week, and we're up to the 3027 level at some point, I would guess, but you never know. You never know who's going to show up. Volume was kind of just average today, so I don't think there's really anything here on the 60. Again, you can see that volume wasn't really great, but really, you had some pullbacks. You can see some tails on the candles and stuff like that, but overall, they wanted in, and they just kind of grinded it all day long upwards. Kind of called out these two levels this morning. This one at 29.49 and 29.44. The pullback was just slight here at the 29.44 level. Of course, a much better pullback at the 29.48. So this one definitely worked out a lot better than the first call. It was just too much of a strong grind, and we'll see that on the intraday here. On the kind of the larger intraday time frame, this is 8,000 tick chart. You can see right here was 7:30 the open right here. Traded up into the first line, bounced off of it, made a little bit more progress. It looked like it was going to ping pong and maybe just kind of hold here, but then I think the bears kind of gave up, and it was kind of gone at that point. And the lines that I drew today just really didn't work out. It was much better on the highest profiles, rather than kind of, I usually mark off the low volume node transitions between nodes and stuff like that, and it was just kind of pushing through. And you can see that the only level that really kind of worked here is where it kind of stopped and pulled back. So just a strong market overall. On the smaller time frame, not sure going to have much else to show you here, but I want to find this section right here. So actually it's this section right here. If you look kind of closely at my candles, you'll notice that they're green candles, but they're red on the outside. What does it kind of say? It says that basically the market was selling. There was a higher number of market orders to the sell side, but the market was still going up. So think about that. So algos basically can move a market on limit orders, and that's basically what you were seeing. You were seeing that really tight range right there. Even though there were more people hitting the market orders trying to sell this thing up here, the algos just moved it up on limit orders, and you can see that in the delta. You can see that it's red. So I just wanted to point that out. So just another little thing to be aware of that you can see on delta there. Big sell-off right here. This was one of the levels. You can't really see. There's a blue line underneath that yellow line. But this was the bigger place where I sold or told you that you could sell some contracts or whatever, and you'd get a bigger move. I thought it was going to work here. I took this first little line right here. You got a point out of it, but something that's kind of like a pro tip right here. If I squeeze this in, kind of see this volume node right here, and then it did this volume node right here. Sometimes pullbacks don't work really well when you have volume nodes right underneath your pullback location. So you got to kind of keep that in mind, that when it pulls back, it finds, you know, a bounce across the top of the range. So a lot of times when I draw my lines and the stock runs up and makes a turn, you know, like right before the line or whatever, it's sometimes not a really good place to short or go long on the reverse or whatever, because you kind of have that stacked node right there, and when price turns around, it's going to run right into the top of the node. So you'll see it. You know, the better pullbacks have a node, and they move away, and then they can come back to the node. So hopefully, you know, I'm making sense here, and you can kind of understand that. So when you run up to a level and you're trading, you're not going to get the best response if the volume node, if it hasn't moved away from the volume node good enough. You're not going to get a pretty good pullback. Just realize that. Like the volume node was down here, and so this one actually kind of came back, right, and was able to sell off a little bit down here. So market symmetry. So there was a nice this one right here, this very first one. If you kind of draw from the bottom, this bisected price here, and pretty much the bottom of those two candles, the top of that one. I didn't put that back really well, but so that was the first swing, and you can basically see it stair step all the way up, hitting back, up, trading in the range, that location, that location, that location. You know, the whole reason that I show the symmetry every time is because, you know, it shows you that the market trades in ranges, and it's kind of like Darvas box or something like that. If you go study Darvas box, even though I don't trade Darvas box or anything like that, it's this kind of a same concept that, you know, you're going to trade inside of a box that you can draw around this area, and you know, when you bust out, you're going to go 100% range extension typically, you know. So that's what I'm basically looking at, is when you bust a range or whatever, top side, bottom side, you're usually going to get 100% range extension, and that kind of gives you an idea of where to take the counter, or where, if you're in it, where to hold to, and be aware that it could bounce back. So I think market symmetry is a big deal. I think algos trade with math, and I don't think they draw trend lines. I think they see levels, and that's what they play off of. But good trading week. Hope you had some success, and see you on Monday.